Have you ever felt that sting? The quiet ache that comes when you realize that you weren't invited, included, wanted, or even understood? Maybe it's the group text that never came through, the family event that moved on without you, or the sideways comment that left you questioning your worth. When you're parenting a child who needs extra support, that kind of exclusion can cut even deeper because sometimes it's not just you who's being left out, it's your child too. Today, I want to share a part of my own story, one that still makes my heart ache, and remind you of the truth that the enemy doesn't want you to remember. You are not forgotten. You are chosen. You can find peace even when others don't understand. Mama, are you tired of meltdowns stealing the peace in your home? Welcome to Parenting Beyond Meltdowns. I'm Amanda, a Christian life coach and a mom of a strong-willed neurospicy teen. If you've tried everything from consequences, parenting books, crying out to the Father, and still feel like you're failing, you're not alone. Inside this podcast, we'll explore how faith, emotional regulation, and connection work together so that you can parent from a place of peace, even in the hardest moments. You don't have to hold it all together here. This is a safe space to lay it all down. Welcome. Mama, if you want to go even deeper into encouragement like this, join my insiders list. It's where I share faith-filled reminders, emotional regulation tools, and practical ways to help you stay anchored in who the Father says you are. Each week, you'll get the latest podcast episode, a gentle mindset shift, and truth to help you find calm and connection with your child. You can sign up at amandacalfie.com or head over to my show notes for the link. I want to share a story that's personal. Several years ago, we had a season of life that totally turned our lives upside down and inside out. Just as we were coming out of it with hope for the future, instead, we found ourselves with broken hearts. That year was spent focusing on our own little family, lots of praying, and mostly survival. We didn't invite many into that season for a reason. My extended family has always celebrated Christmas Eve together. We didn't go there in that rough season, but the next year, we hadn't originally planned to go, but our plans changed. And so I called the relative that was hosting and said that our plans had changed and that we were able to make it work to attend. I asked if it was okay if we came. She said yes, but there was something in her voice that was different. At the time, I noticed it, but I couldn't quite put my finger on it, but I would soon find out. After hanging up with them, I tried to call my cousin to see about getting gifts for their children, and there was no answer. The next day, I got a text from this cousin's wife, which led to questions about my son that I didn't see coming, which led to us finding out that essentially the entire family had been talking about us behind our backs. What I didn't know till later was that after I originally hung up with the host, a family member had started calling other family members, basically taking a poll and asking that if our family came to Christmas Eve, would they still be willing to come? While some just had questions, which is totally fine and totally understandable, they didn't come to us directly. There were others that made it clear that they didn't think that we should be at Christmas, texting people behind our back saying that I and my son were causing drama. Mind you, all I did was ask to come to Christmas Eve. I saw these texts with my own eyes, and while it didn't surprise me that this particular person sent the text, it still hurt because it wasn't just about me, it was about my son. The host, who also is known as our family peacekeeper, was trying to see if we would still come, but on a different day, to see them and my grandmother. My husband flat out said no. He was very hurt and just done with the whole situation. I text back saying that we would not be able to attend because we were just very hurt by the whole situation. The host ended up getting mad at me, and it all spiraled downhill from there. At the end of the day, we just wish that anyone who had concerns would have spoken to us directly so that we could have addressed their concerns and brought any misinformation to light. What all started from a place of just wanting to be loved and accepted ended in rejection and heartbreak. It broke my heart, and deep down, I think it broke my son's too. Because as a mama, all we want for our children is to be accepted, to be seen as more than their behaviors, their choices, their diagnosis. So often with how misunderstood we feel in the world, we want to feel like our families get it, or at least try to. But more often than not, they don't. I tried to fix the situation by explaining via video that I sent to the entire family that we were very hurt by all of this, to which everyone but one family apologized. They're still not talking to us to this day, and we have not been invited to a family gathering since. To be honest, I question that they are looking for an apology because they turned themselves into the victim in this situation. I've torn my heart wide open to the Father, asking if there's anything that I need to do to make this right. The only answer that I've been given is to forgive and to learn with being misunderstood. If you've ever been through something like this, you know there's this moment where you have to make a choice. Whether it's spiraling into shame, wondering what's wrong with you or your child, or maybe it's hurt that turns to anger and bitterness. I've definitely been there. But what if we choose instead to anchor ourselves in what we know to be true of who we are in Christ? Now, I'm not saying don't acknowledge, allow, and process your emotions because all of that needs to happen. It's non negotiable, in my opinion. And you can go back to episodes 11 through 13 if you need a refresher on allowing, acknowledging, and processing emotions. The amount of time that I've spent crying, praying, and asking the Father to show me where I was wrong, if there was anything that He was calling me to do, and most of all, how to forgive. This has been a process. It is not something that has happened overnight. It's happened slowly over time, where the Father allowed peace to replace pain. Because the truth is, being left out doesn't mean you're unloved. Sometimes it's simply God's way of protecting your peace. And maybe, like me, you've had moments where you replayed conversations, wondered what you could have done differently, or questioned if you were the problem. But, Mama, what I've learned and what I want you to hold on to is that peace doesn't come from being understood by everyone. It comes from being anchored in the truth, even when others can't see your heart. So, how do you hold on to that peace when others don't understand your parenting, your child, or your choices? Let's talk about it. So, what do we do when others don't understand our parenting, our child, or our choices? And how do we keep our peace anyway? Number one, remember who defines you. People's opinions are not your identity. When others choose to misunderstand you, when they talk about you instead of talking to you, it says more about the condition of their heart than yours. You can't control their narrative, and you don't need to defend yourself to people who already have decided what they want to believe. Because here's the truth: those who want to understand will seek clarity, not chaos. When you're walking in obedience, doing what's best for your child, protecting your peace, and following the Holy Spirit's leading, you're already walking in truth. Your worth isn't measured by who believes your side of the story. Your value isn't based on inclusion, it's rooted in identity. You are a daughter of the King, fully known and fully loved, even when others don't see the full picture. And sometimes when people can't see your heart and your intentions, the Father will gently create distance, not to punish you, but to protect you. Number two, see rejection as protection. Sometimes God allows space and distance because He's protecting your heart and your child's peace. That no from others might actually be a divine yes to rest, healing, and deeper connection with Him and within your home. When you feel the sting of exclusion, whisper this truth: Father, I believe if you've allowed this, you will use it for our good. That doesn't mean it doesn't hurt. It just means that He's using it to anchor you more deeply in Him. For us personally, the story didn't end there. This was several years ago, but last year specifically, something happened that I didn't see coming. I had been digging deeper into the Word for myself, and through a turn of events, the Father said that it was time for us personally to stop keeping man's traditions and holidays and to start keeping His appointed times. Those are His biblical feasts listed in Leviticus. So last year was our first year not keeping Christmas. This was a huge step of obedience for me because I really loved Christmas. Christmas was literally the only holiday that my father never ruined in my childhood. And so I had a lot of good emotions and happy memories wrapped up in this specific day. But the Father asked me to give it up. And I share this with you today, not because I'm trying to convince you that you shouldn't celebrate Christmas. I share this with you because while I don't believe that the Father caused this situation with my family, I do think that He used it. He asked me to turn my heart more deeply towards Him and His Word and to step closer to Him and away from the world. This has not been easy, and yet I do think it has been made easier because we haven't had to explain ourselves to an entire family because we're not being invited to anything. So we've kind of just gotten to secretly go off and obey the Lord and not have to explain ourselves to very many people. So please hear this. This is my example of how the Father created good from our situation. I just want you to see it as a possible silver lining that the Father can bring, that yours will probably look completely different than mine. But at the end of the day, it comes down to us being obedient to what the Father tells us to do. And for me, He was drawing us closer to Him in this time when other people were rejecting us. And I think that that is a beautiful thing. In Romans 8:28, it says that we know that all things work together for the good of those who love God, to those who are called according to his purpose. And in Genesis 50, there's a powerful example in Joseph's story when he tells his brothers that what you meant for evil against me, God meant it for good. Number 3, find belonging where it's safe. You don't have to chase connection where understanding can't grow. Sometimes the most loving thing that you can do is release the places that can't hold your heart gently. Find your people, the ones who pray with you and lift you up, that listen without judgment and see your child through eyes of compassion instead of criticism. And if that space doesn't exist in your family right now, it's okay. The Father will bring you safe spaces, whether it's in your church family, your friends, or even right here in this podcast community. You are not alone, Mama. You are seen, understood, and surrounded with love and grace. You can join our Facebook community at facebook.com/groups/anchored mamas, and the link's also in the show notes today. Number 4, model grace even when it's hard. When you've been hurt or misunderstood, it's easy to want to defend yourself or to make others see your side. But, Mama, sometimes the strongest thing you can do is to stay silent and let your peace speak for you. Your child is watching how you respond when others don't treat you fairly and when you're left out. And every time you choose grace over gossip, compassion over bitterness, and prayer over proving a point, you're teaching them that emotional regulation looks like. You're showing them how to stay anchored in who they are, even when others don't understand. That's the kind of legacy that changes families, one peaceful, grace-filled response at a time. I want you to know in our situation, I didn't always handle our situation perfectly. My kids saw my hurt. They saw my tears. They saw my frustration. And they saw me wrestling over what was the right thing to do. I knew forgiveness was the answer, but I was just so hurt initially. I was just mad. And maybe your kids have seen that too. Here's the beautiful thing about it. It's okay for them to see you wrestle. It's okay for them to see that faith doesn't mean that you never feel the sting of rejection. It means that you bring those feelings to the Father instead of letting them harden your heart. When your children watch you process pain through prayer, when they see you choose forgiveness over bitterness, they're learning that grace isn't weakness, it's strength surrendered to the Father. You're showing them what real emotional regulation looks like, not perfection, but presence. And that's the kind of faith that anchors generations. Our faith anchor today is Psalms 34:18. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. When others push away, the Father pulls you closer. You don't have to prove or perform to earn his presence. You already have it. The challenge I have for you this week is if there is any situation that stirs up hurt or anger or bitterness in your heart, anything that's come to mind while you've been listening to this podcast, I want you to take it to the Father. Set aside a few minutes and tell him exactly how you feel. Don't filter it or tidy it up. Just be honest and then pray. And say, Father, I come to you with a heart ready to give this pain. Can you please show me how you see this through your eyes? Help me to release the weight of what I cannot control and anchor my heart in you. And if you're the mama that doesn't feel ready to hand it over to the Father, I would ask you, as an act of your will, to choose. And this is what I did. I read a book by Lisa Turkhurst about forgiveness, and she says something to the effect in there of that she chose to forgive as an act of her will and that what her emotions did not yet follow that the Father would bring those along at some point. That is a total butchering of that sentence, but you get the point. That sometimes we just have to choose as an act of our will. And that's what I did with this whole situation. I said, Father, I'm choosing to forgive. And even though my emotions haven't quite caught up to that yet, I'm choosing as an act of my will to be obedient to you and choosing to forgive so that this doesn't eat me alive. And I'm going to be honest, there is something miraculous about doing this because I feel like that over time, the Father has brought my emotions more into check, you could say, or along in the process of that I don't feel the anger and the bitterness. And so I would just ask you that if you don't feel ready, what if you just take that step of handing it to the Father and asking Him to help you? So what I want you to know, Mama, is that you don't have to have this all figured out. You just have to be willing to bring it to Him. Peace begins the moment you stop carrying what He never asked you to hold. Father, I lift up the mama listening right now, the one who feels unseen or misunderstood. Remind her that you see every tear and you hear every unspoken prayer. When she feels left out, whisper to her heart that she is never alone. Fill her home with your peace, even in the absence of understanding from others. Help her to choose love over bitterness, calm over chaos, and truth over fear. And let her child feel the peace through her presence. In your mighty name, amen. Sweet friend, if this season feels lonely, please know that your value isn't determined by who includes you. It's secure in the one that chose you first. You are seen, you are loved, and your quiet obedience is making more of an impact than you realize. You're raising a child who's learning that love doesn't depend on fitting in. It's found in the faith that stands firm even when it's misunderstood. You are doing sacred work. Keep going. If you want to go deeper into encouragement like this, join my Insiders list and my Facebook group, both linked in today's show notes. Each week in my Insiders list, I share faith-filled reminders, emotional regulation tips, and practical tools to help you stay anchored in who the Father says you are. And inside the Facebook group, we walk it out together, setting our mindsets on Mondays, celebrating wins on Wednesdays, and finding hope alongside mamas who truly get it. You belong here, sweet friend, and you are never walking this road alone. Hey, sweet mama, I hope you loved today's episode. Can you do me a favor? If this episode spoke to your heart, would you take 30 seconds and share it with a mama in your life who needs to know they are not alone? Also, would you leave a quick review on Apple Podcasts for me? It blesses my heart to know that this show is giving you hope in hard moments. All right, I'm off to grab some protein because love and grace flows easier when you're not just running on fumes and coffee. I'll meet you back here next week for another honest and hope-filled conversation. In the meantime, Mama, stay rooted in faith and anchored in love.